quorum probably vacated.
Without objection.
Mr. President, in just another couple of minutes, let me say that there's an amendment that I believe has been filed to the underlying housing bill. I just want to make a comment on it. It's an amendment that would extend the renewable energy tax credits, and it's a very important amendment. I wish that we would extend the renewable energy tax credits for a lengthy period of time. I'm not sure whether that amendment is going to be considered germane, but if it is, we need to pass it. But I want to make this point. This country has a history now, going back to 1992, with respect to renewable energy. That is the solar energy and wind energy and the production tax credit and the things that we put in place to encourage renewable energy. We have a history of a kind of a pathetic, anemic response to all this. Let me describe what America did with respect to oil. Once we decided we want to encourage people to look for oil or gas, I mean, we were at it. 1916 in this Congress, they put in place deep, aggressive tax credits and incentives for people to go drill for oil and go find gas. So for almost 100 years, our country's policies have been, if you're going out to drill for oil or gas, God bless you, we're going to give you some big old tax breaks. We want you to do that. That's America's policy. Find more oil, find more gas. So in 1992, the Congress put in place a provision that says, well, now we want to encourage renewable energy. So with oil, we put in place permanent, robust tax incentive that have lasted almost a century. What do we do with renewables? Well, when it came to renewable energy, it was kind of a pathetic, lackluster response. It was temporary, short-term, and so we would extend it a little bit here and there, then we'd let it expire. We extended it 5 times, let it expire 3 times. What a pathetic response. What this country has an obligation to do with respect to wind energy and solar energy and the basic renewables is to say to this country and to say to developers, look, here's where America's headed. For the next decade, here's where we're going, and you can count on it because this is America's policy. We ought to do that. We're doing 1 year, 2 years at a time, 3 years. Production tax credit ought to be extended for 10 years to say to people, here's where we're headed, and you can count on it. We're not going to want to be 2 years, 5 years, or 10 years from now, 70% dependent on the Saudis and Kuwaitis and Iraqis and Venezuelans for our oil. I mean, that makes no sense. And yet, the only way we're going to get out of this box is to say we're going to begin providing renewable energy in a very aggressive way. But we don't do that with the incentives we put in place. We just start, stop, stutter, start, stop. And every time we stop for a year, the whole investment cycle blows off. I mean, it goes to zero. And so you have all kinds of projects on the shelf that sit there and never get deployed. Now, solar, for example, we're way behind in solar because you can't do solar and put a tax incentive in for 1 year. You can't do that. It takes a number of years to get a solar project up and running. You can, if you have a short-term, get a wind turbine up, perhaps. I mean, you can have a shorter timeline on that. But even that, it seems to me, whether it's wind or solar or any number of those technologies, this country has a responsibility to get serious about becoming less dependent on Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and Iraq and all those countries. I mean, the Lord did something really interesting. Put oil over there under the sands and put all the demand over here with the blessings of a country that expanded and has produced a great economy. But, you know, we put little straws in this earth every day and we suck oil out. We suck 84 to 85 million barrels of oil a day out of this earth. And we use 1/4 of it here in the United States, 21 million barrels of oil a day. And 60% of it comes from off our shores. So if you don't think that's a dangerous dependency, then there's something wrong. I mean, I think that's dangerous and we've got to fix it. How do you fix it? You make a commitment to renewable energy. My colleague from the state of Washington is on the floor, Senator Cantwell, who has dedicated a lot of her time and effort to this subject, and I commend her for it. You know, you got to focus around here on some things, and Senator Cantwell has really focused substantially on these issues. And I want to work with her, and I want whatever she's proposing here to succeed. We're working together in the Energy Committee, and I'm the chairman of the Energy and Water Appropriations Subcommittee. You know, we need to do a lot. But most importantly, we need to get this Congress on the side of policy that this country can be proud of, to say, we're going to make a commitment for the next decade. Here's where we're headed, America. We're in support of renewable energy, and you can count on it because we're going to put policies in place that'll tell you that we're in support of it. We just can't keep doing what we've been doing. It's unfair to this country. So my hope is that when we consider this amendment, that we can approve it, but my hope is we'll go much, much further this year. The minimum we should do on the production tax credit is a 5-year commitment, minimum. And I have a bill that says we ought to do it for 10 years. You know, it's one thing to talk about these things. It's another thing to be serious and enact public policies that demonstrate to the country and the world that you're serious. We have not done that on renewable energy. And it's time, long past the time that we do it. I hope that perhaps we'll start with the first step tomorrow. Mr. President, I yield the floor.